Have you been doing this together for some time? How long have you been counting money together?
Probably 4 years, close to 4 years. I did it for about a year before that. And the two guys that I counted with, they retired.
And Paul and I didn't know each other prior to this, so it's sort of been fun getting to know Paul and his family.
How often do you count the money? Every week, every other week, or?
There's 7 teams of 2, so every 7th week, or like with holidays, I guess Easter's the only extra. Christmas is the only one that moves when you do it.
How many people count the money for a weekend collection? Is it always
Just the
two?
two.
Okay. How do you decide who does what?
Well, we've sort of fallen into a pattern of Paul running the reporting sheet and me running the deposit slip, and then we often check our numbers before our conclusion to make sure we're balancing.
What other responsibilities do you have beside counting the money?
You have to take it to the bank, put it in the night deposit box.
Do you take turns doing that, or does one of you always take the money to the bank?
We take turns and we monitor the other person dumping it in the box. Paul follows me up in his car when I drop it. I follow him up in his car when he drops it. When he drops it and turns the key, we pull off and go our separate ways. We also have an obligation, I think, to make sure that we watch who's in here when we're doing this. We've got the door locked. We keep it locked. If Father comes in here, obviously Father's okay, or Sister, but we don't. This isn't a conversation point while we're doing this. It's all business when they come in, and they better go back out. We try and keep it secure from that standpoint. Probably no big deal, but we don't want to take a chance.
Did you receive training for this particular job?
Becky did have a little get-together a couple years ago. I guess we had a bunch of new teams start up. Before that, there was only about 4 or 5 people that did it.
Becky's our controller for the
Okay.
parish and over this responsibility. She's who we go to if we have a question
Oh, that's great. Okay.
or a suggestion.
And then who records the donations or the collections in the computer then?
I would guess Becky Kenton, who's our controller.
Or Becky Townsend, secretary, church secretary. I think she records what their donations are or whatever every week.
So what about when you're done here, you've got a total amount of money that was collected for each mass, correct?
That's right.
Well,
Do you write that down somewhere
we don't keep the separate masses, no.
Oh, okay. You
It's just one total. We just have one total that we deposit.
Okay.
It'll be separated between the envelopes and
Why don't you
loose
give a
money.
Visual. I'm going to hold that up. And
These are
show
just the loose checks. Diocesan Works of Charity, there's a special envelope this week, and the St. Joe's Education Foundation is another separate account that but they keep track of that.
So you give them a copy of that sheet, right?
This will go on the desk with the empty envelopes, and then they record into the computer who gave what and.
Okay.
and a copy of the deposit slip. The
Yeah.
original goes in the money bag in the bank depository later this morning, and a copy of that goes with the envelope detail to the parish secretary.
Can you show us the bag that the money goes in, the sealed bag?
Yes, we deposit the money and the deposit tickets in here, and then close it, and then we drop this in the bank.
Great. And so this is the money, like, in this bag, that's from like last night's collection? Or?
Yeah, or else the 8 o'clock mass this morning. Yeah,
Okay.
one or the other.
Good morning. Thank you for allowing us to share a little time with you while you're doing this important work for the church. Jackie, can you explain what you are doing and why, what the group is doing and why you're doing it?
Certainly. This is the collection from yesterday, from all of the masses. It comes over in the morning while we're at Mass on Monday mornings. They bring it over sealed. It's not unsealed until we're all in the room. We open each Mass. We verify any loose cash that's there for that Mass. We also do the same thing with loose checks. We try to make sure that if they're parishioners, they get credit for that check that they wrote. We open all the envelopes and all the envelopes with checks and the envelopes with cash, and we verify the cash back to the total of the envelopes with cash. We verify the checks back to the total with checks. Then we put it all together in one group. Millie does all of the balancing for us on a rotating basis. All of the checks are entered, all of the cash are entered, regardless if it's All Saints, annual diocesan appeal, whatever the building fund, it's all separated out, all comes back together through Millie, and then we have one major deposit that we make every Monday. We put it in a bag, and it remains in this room until one of the gentlemen that works here at the church comes, and he and I together take it to the bank, make sure that it is deposited correctly, and we're done for the day.
And I was going to ask how many people count money for the weekend collection, so it's usually around
7.
7?
Well, there's 7, 3, 4, 5,
Five.
and Jean is gone, and so there's
6.
6 now.
6.
6. What are the responsibilities? How do you decide who does what? You rotate, you said?
We do, we rotate.
On a monthly basis.
Does that work pretty well to
Works.
rotate like that?
Works great. And if we have trouble balancing at the end of the day, then we have enough people around the table who know how to do it, that we can figure out what went wrong.
Does that happen very often that things don't balance? Or
Actually, not that often. The gals are pretty thorough.
Because everything is counted twice, so.
As you go along, it's kind of a balance.
okay.
One always helps the other one. Jean Birchtold is usually sitting here next to me.
Oh, that's great.
And so we just always kind of check on each other until it comes out.
And you've sort of already described the segregation of duties. You rotate. Nobody is doing the same thing every single time, right?
Correct. Correct.
But each of you do this every week.
Mm-hmm.
What's the minimum it would help for you to
I would
have?
say they wouldn't do anything if they had less than 2. I mean, you'd need 2 just to protect each other if anything would happen. Dual control,
Then we'd put it off till the next day.
right? Until we had people.
Okay. Who records the donations, collections, in a computer? I guess that would be Steve, right? Or who does record?
Jody does it.
Okay.
She does that after we're all balanced. Pretty much the rest of us can leave. And then Steve, our finance manager, usually comes in and sits with Jody while she does the posting to the computer.
And Steve does what? He
kind of overlooks
Okay.
as she's doing her posting, so there's someone else with her when she's doing the entry.
Okay.
And then they balance. How do you do that, Jody? You balance everything from the computer back to the paperwork.
May I have the sheet, please?
And Steve sits here and balances it.
Now, would Jody do that every week, or would one of you, did you rotate that also?
Jody does it most of the time. If she's not here, I can do it. If both of us are gone, Steve can do it.
And Jan can do it.
And Jan out at
Okay.
there's.
That's great. And as you said, you take, Jackie, you and someone else from the parish take the money to be
the-
deposited?
Correct. Sometimes it's Steve, and sometimes it's our building manager.
Do you wanna initial this too then?